What's going on, gentlemen? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the benefits of overcoming corn addiction. If you struggle with a corn addiction and you're watching this video, you likely know that it's really not good for you. But beyond it being bad for you, it does affect everyone around you, and it affects society as a whole. You know, we see memes now that are corn scenes. We see memes now that are corn scenes, and there's internet jokes, and everybody just kind of knows what's going on with corn and the jokes around it, right? So it's permeated into our culture, and we now see in the younger generations how it's affected us, right? There's so many men complaining about women and all the issues with women and how they're hoes and the way they act and this and that and this and that. But the men have allowed this, and the men have become retarded in a bad way through consuming corn all the time. You know, they're not thinking clearly, they're not acting right, they just don't have that vibe, that energy of what a man is, actually what a man is. So one of the first things you'll notice when you actually break a corn addiction is a lowering in anxiety, right? So you're watching corn all the time, you're doing something that you only do when you're alone because it's a secret, you gotta hide it from everybody, and that's how you know it's a dirty thing, right? But as the Bible says, what's done in the dark will be brought to the light, and you will always reap what you sow. So that's kind of the anxiety. It's you kind of reaping what you had sown, and what was done in the dark is being brought to the light, right? It's coming out in a way that you don't expect, right? So a lot of guys struggle with anxiety coming off of corn, because corn was the thing that was lowering their anxiety, right? It was like a drug for them. So you'll notice that once you actually get past that point, you know, after a couple weeks, I'd say, you have a drop in anxiety. There's like no anxiety. It just goes away. Like anxiety doesn't exist for you. It's not even real, right? Depression. A lot of guys get sad and depressed because they're ejaculating every day. So they have low energy. Nothing ever feels good. Nothing ever makes them happy, because that ejaculation is the best dopamine rush they can get. So after you do that, everything gets dull for a little while. And if you do that every single day, every other day, once every 3 days, things like that, you never really get to a point where things feel good and you get pleasure from normal life activities, right? That's where I used to live for a long time, as it was every couple days I would ejaculate, and it was like as soon as I started feeling good, right around day 2 or 3, I would go and ejaculate because I wanted to feel good, right? But I was already feeling good, and then I'd be right back, and I'd be low, I'd get back into feeling good, ejaculate, right? And it was just a cycle that I just went around and around in for ages, probably a couple years. So you'll notice that this feeling of lethargy and depression goes away because your dopamine receptors have reset enough from you not ejaculating that real life feels good. You know, like the cup of coffee tastes good again, right? It's not just another cup of coffee. It's a really delicious cup of coffee. So it's going to enrich your whole life. And this is where this starts to benefit everyone else, because you get rid of your anxiety, you get rid of your depression, and that normal cup of coffee tastes good. You kind of brighten everything up around you. You convince everyone else that everything is good. Because as a man, you have very outgoing, outward energy. If you look at your genitals, they are outside of your body. So that outward energy really pushes out and affects the world a lot, right? So another thing that you'll have I think this is one of the greatest benefits, is you won't be afraid to be a man. There are so many men, and I don't care what culture you're in, there are so many men that are afraid to be men. Now, the reason I say I don't care what culture you're in is because in America, black culture is more encouraging for you to be a man. White culture is more discouraging for you to be a man. So one time when I was at work, this guy got in an argument with a girl. He was a very reactionary man. He was a black guy, and he was extremely reactionary. He never had much self-control, right? And so he was all mad, man, fuck that bitch, and da-da-da-da. And I looked at him, and his name was Trey, and I said, it's all right, Trey. She's upset with you because you're not being a man. She gets upset with me for being one. And he kind of laughed because he knew what I was saying. And he was like, it is like that, isn't it? Like, white guys aren't allowed to be men, but black guys can't not be men. And I was like, yeah. And the thing is it's all like corrupt manhood, right? Because they tell white guys that being overly soft, overly sensitive, overly nice is manhood. And they tell black guys that being overly dominant, overly aggressive, overly reactive, overly violent is manhood, right? And they're both wrong. The truth is in the middle of those two. And so semen retention will put you in that place in the middle, right? You have to understand you do have cultural influences. So as a white guy, you're probably a bit of a pussy. You're probably a little bit softer than you need to be. And as a black guy, you're probably too aggressive. You probably need to relax a little bit. You need to pull back some. And both of these are just two sides of the same coin of just corrupted masculinity, right? Corrupted manhood that's out of line. And they're both cultures have ended up this way because they listen to women, right? Because these are the female forms of what they think masculinity is. Females think masculinity is super soft and compassionate and empathetic and very nice and giving all the time. And females think that it's this just domineering, controlling, just destroy everything around it, thing, right? That's what girls think. And so we've got men falling into line of what the female brain says masculinity is, where you need to be in the middle. Where the times that you think would typically call for violence, you're not violent. And the times that don't call for much violence, you can threaten violence, right? So it'll put you in this middle ground where you're comfortable being a man. You feel okay being a man. You're comfortable in your own skin. You're okay with speaking up when it's time to speak up. You're okay with not saying anything when there's nothing to say. You're just comfortable being yourself. And now that's one of the biggest things about manhood that no female will ever say, is being comfortable in your own skin. Trusting yourself. Trusting that when you say no, no means no and you're right. Right? So I've got an issue going on with a friend. He's been running my name through the mud. He's a friend from high school. He's been one of my best friends, and our friendship is over at this point. It's slowly been going away, but this was the final straw because he's kind of stirring up drama between me and other friends. He's trying to wreck my name and ruin my reputation. And so when I say no more, I'm not talking to him, my other friends kind of want me to explain because they think that I'm being mean to this guy. Because we all know this guy is very insecure and he's a bit stupid. He's actually very smart, but he just acts very stupid. And we all know he's very insecure. So we're all a little bit nicer to him because of that. And that's the thing that a couple years ago I stopped doing. I stopped being nice to him because of his insecurities. Because it was just like, that's not like how you're supposed to act. We were like 25 when I was realizing this. Like, that's not, as a man, I shouldn't have to tiptoe around your insecurities. That's like what I do with my girlfriend. right? I tiptoe around her insecurities to make her feel safe. But as a man, I shouldn't do that. And so I stopped doing it with this guy. So he's slowly but surely gotten mad at me. But that's that lack of comfortability that he has. And for me, the struggle that I have is saying, no, I'm not going to be friends with him anymore when I'm talking to my other friends. And they're kind of wanting an explanation. And I'm like, I'm not really going to get into the explanation. They want to bring us together so we can all have a talk. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I know where I'm at. I know where I stand. I know what I've heard. I know what I've experienced. I don't need to explain to anyone. If you guys think I'm being mean, fine. Sure. Go ahead. You'll find out. You'll find out for yourself what I'm saying, right? So it's that comfortability that you get, because there's something about, as a man, I actually saw a study where they had rats ejaculate to satiety. So you could say, a couple times a day or something. And they had more estrogen receptors in their brain. Their estrogen receptors upregulated and their androgen receptors downregulated. But then if they were abstinent, their androgen, it was the opposite. The androgen receptors upregulated, estrogen went down. So when you're ejaculating, your brain is becoming more feminine. You're thinking more like a woman all the time because you've got more estrogen receptors receiving the estrogen from your body and less androgen receptors receiving the testosterone in your body, right? So you're now thinking more female. And many men end up this way, This guy's got his girlfriend. He's been dating her for years. He was drunk, bragging to me a couple weeks ago. Said, my girl sucks my dick 3 times a week. I was looking at him and I was like, that's part of your problem. That's part of why you act the way that you do. And there is no like manhood in him anymore. So it'll give you that, because a female is the one who says something or makes a decision and then thinks twice. Like her eyes kind of do this after she makes a decision because she doesn't know what to do, right? She can't pick what ice cream flavor she wants at Baskin Robbins. So you take her somewhere that has chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, so she can make a choice, right? So as a man, when you're feminizing yourself through ejaculation, self-feminization, I think we could call it, in your brain, you second guess yourself. You second guess your decisions, right? People don't really know what to do. I can't tell you how many people I've had come to me in my life saying, I'm faced with this thing or that thing and I don't know what to do. And they're coming to me because they know that I can make a decision and stick by it, and I can know that it's the right decision to make. And that's how a man should be. You should be able to make a decision, stick by it, and not waver, right? Despite having thoughts. I'm getting ready to move to New York for a sales job. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm moving all the way. Actually, I'm not that nervous. It's just a different type of sales that I've never done. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know that I'm going to make money. It might not work out long term, and I might have to move back. But I know that I'll make my money. So I'm not really concerned about what else happens, right? So you get lower anxiety, lower depression. You become more comfortable in your own skin. You become more patient and more peaceful. I'd have to say that when I was ejaculating, I had zero patience because I was, after that feel good of ejaculation, that's all I want, was something to make me feel good. So I was constantly seeking excitement and something outside of myself. I never had peace. I could never sit down. I could never relax. And I never had patience either. So these are things that will develop over time. It takes a little bit longer to get that patience and that feeling of peace and calm about you, but that's extremely important. I made a video titled Semen Retention Calms Your Nervous System, and it does. And that's extremely important as a man, is to have a calm nervous system. You can't be reactionary, right? My brother talked to me last night. We haven't talked in a couple weeks. He asked me if I wanted to talk about, are we going to settle the issues? And I said, no, I'm good, right? My decision is made up. The relationship is over. There's no more. You're cut off from my life forever. I don't care if I ever see you again. And when I said that, he got real reactionary, right? He said, one day you'll learn how to be a man. You need to grow a pair. And I was just looking at him, and it was like, you don't mean anything that you say. I could tell you to come outside in the backyard and fight right now, and you won't do it. So none of what you say you're willing to defend, so you don't mean anything that you say, right? But he had this strong reaction, and he cashed a check, right? Or he wrote a check that his ass couldn't cash. Y'all seen this shit happen to men, right? They react, they say things they shouldn't say, and they get their ass beat for it. This is why you have to be calm as a man. You have to be cool, controlled, and collected around everyone. And women love it when men are calm, because women are very reactionary. They get high anxiety. My nieces are this way. I'll be talking to them, and there'll be a moment of silence, and they get anxiety, and they're like, no! So you're more peaceful and you're more patient as a man. You're more centered and grounded in who you are. You've got lower levels of depression and anxiety, so more happiness. You will work harder. You will work harder. Your dopamine recovers. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that needs to recover for you to work, right? Most of y'all, your testosterone is fucking fine. As long as you eat healthy, exercise regularly, 3 times a week, and don't jerk off too much, your testosterone is fine. Like, you really don't have to stress about it. Live a normal, healthy life, and you'll be good. So, your dopamine is what needs to recover. Your dopamine is the reason you have no drive to do anything. Your dopamine is the reason that you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to go work, you don't want to do more work, you're not looking to accomplish anything, right? It's not your testosterone. Your testosterone kicks in when you're in the middle of something difficult. That's when that kicks in and tells you to keep going, keep pushing. But your dopamine is what got you started. And most guys are not started, right? They haven't even kick-started their engine. So they don't even get to utilize their testosterone or get an increase in testosterone from doing things that are difficult and continuing to push, right? I feel it when I go work out. It's like I can feel my testosterone kick in, and I just grind and grind, and I grind until my body's just done. Like, it's like I used up all the testosterone in my body. Like, it just won't push any further, right? I'll be in the middle of a curl, and I just fail the fucking curl. And, like, I can't do it. And the same weight that 10, 15 minutes ago, I could have done 15 reps with, I'm now hitting 6, like, cheat reps, right? A lot of guys don't get to that space where their testosterone is able to start pumping and circulating in their body and get kicked in because their dopamine is so fucked up. And this goes beyond corn, your cell phone. Just social media and corn are the same thing to your brain. No difference, dude. If I scroll social media at night and then get up in the morning, I have brain fog, right? So the dopamine in your brain is the main thing that you need to recover. Because the thing about corn is it's going to lead you into other bad habits. Smoking weed, drinking too much alcohol, eating junk food, right? It does it to me. One bad habit leads to another bad habit. So if you can break it at the root, suddenly you stop craving junk food. You stop craving weed. You stop craving alcohol. And suddenly your brain, you'll realize, is more masculine. You start thinking about the things that you really want. You start thinking about long-term things. And you start thinking, I'm not pussy enough to eat a cookie right now, because that cookie is going to fuck up my vibes, right? It's going to make me a little bit more anxious because I got this sugar in me that's like negative energy. Sugar is real. Watch some kids, right? I've got a 7-year-old niece, and when she gets cranked up on sugar, she has a bad attitude, and I don't like to be around her when she's had a lot of sugar, and I can tell, right? I can tell when this kid is jacked up on sugar. And she just gets insane, uncontrollable, and whiny. And it's just terrible. Now, you're a bigger adult. So, a cookie for you, not so bad as a cookie for her. You got a larger body. But, if you're smoking weed and eating this sugar, you're going to eat a lot of it, right? And you're going to go hard. If you've ejaculated, you're going to want to eat a lot because you're chasing that dopamine high, right? But you'll get to a point where you don't even want to do these things. You don't want to smoke weed because you're like, smoking weed kind of makes me a pussy, right? I've said for a long time that smoking weed makes you a gay liberal. And all of my political friends are like, ha, 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 I've smoked weed for years and that never happens. And I kind of give them a second look and I'm like, your ass is a liberal, you just don't admit it. And you don't know it. Like, they will say and do very just gay things. Very liberal stuff. And if you look at the states where it started out, where it was legalized and stuff, they are liberal states full of gay people. I've smoked weed myself. I know what it does to me. So, you guys can get mad about that, but it is what it is. Smoking weed makes you a gay liberal. And if you're retaining for a while and you're off of corn, you'll come to understand that. You'll come to know the same thing, that you could smoke weed every once in a while, right? Once a month or something, and it's not that big of a deal. But if you smoke it consistently, you become like a gay liberal. It's not good. But you don't really have a desire to do these things because you know future tense. The future is better. You're better at delayed gratification. And the marshmallow study that was done on the kids, where they put a marshmallow in front of kids and they said, if you wait 10 minutes, we'll give you 2 marshmallows. If you eat it right now, that's the only marshmallow you get. They studied these kids over their lives, and the kids that waited the 10 minutes had way better outcomes on everything. They went to jail less. They made more money. They had better relationships. They bought better homes. They had better physical health. Everything. And that's just how life works. That's just how life works. I heard Jordan Peterson describe it, that we are basically bargaining with the present for a better future. So you can sacrifice something right now for a better tomorrow. And that's exactly how life works, right? And when you retain, you get more into that state of wanting to sacrifice pleasure and comfort today, so tomorrow is better, and the next day is better, and 3 years from now is better. And this is part of the trap of corn, is it gets your brain in such a state of seeking that you can't even see the future. All you can see is right here, right now, I need stimulation. And so you're a rat. You're a rat in a wheel. Right? Despite all your rage, you're still just a rat in a cage. And it's because you're ejaculating all the time. Right? So this is how corn, in the big picture, is trapping men in society as a whole. It's part of the reason society is collapsing, is because men are not men anymore. And it's because they have such easy access to sexuality. You don't have to work. That's what makes corn so addictive, is the ease of access. If it wasn't so easy to get, I would have never started watching it. I've had women my whole life. I can get a woman at any time. But I still ended up with a corn addiction because it was just so easy to access. I didn't have to try. I didn't have to do anything. I could just unlock my phone. So that ease of access is what's destroying our society, and men are partaking in it because it's very difficult to resist. I'm not going to act like it's not difficult to resist. No. It's extremely difficult. The point is it's worth it. And it's more worth it now than it's ever been because more men are doing it. Although things like semen retention are growing and people are starting to wake up, this is like early adopting phase. People still don't know. So if you can, like I've done, pile up a few years before everyone else gets on page, you're ahead of everyone else. You've already got a few years of celibacy, a few years of retaining. You're ready, right? And so, those are some good benefits from retaining, some of the things that you can see, simple stuff that'll come from retaining that'll help fix your life. All right, fellas, so subscribe to the channel, share this with a friend. Have a good day.